I'm super happy that the solo laners from IG had their moment to shine because they have been under a microscope in terms of fraud watch for a majority of the split.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Quax. We get into these first bans coming across here, and some of those later Impact champions are definitely looking like they're going to be on the board here. This has been a spot where we've seen Rise banned away, but Haichao would definitely like to play that later into the game. I still think Starry's Aphelios is one of his premier champions that fits that play style. We'll see what's available here because the bans have stayed pretty similar to what our first bout showed.
The last ban going to come out here will be the Jarvan Rumble, open and available. It's been a very common first pick, and if they want to try and give some agency over to Soboro yet again, that is just going to be an easy lock-in. Now OMG more than likely going to try and give Hery a tank just to stave that off. I think that he has been really effective on things like the... Honestly, I was going to say the Scion, but I looked over. He has a 0% win rate on it. So maybe we don't give him Scion. Maybe we give him something like the Ornn. It gives you a bit more non-committal engage, but they're instead going to slam the Cassante. I was actually having a discussion with Ulk about this before we went live on matchups for Rumble, and he said that the worst by far was the Cassante. I tend to agree. I think that this is a good way at just making sure Rumble's strongest point in the game, that being early on, really isn't a big thing that he can play off of.
You know, you've got some good points. I will say, Quax, it feels pretty Exodia for any team to get Rumble, Rise solo lanes in a series where Galio is gone. So, I mean, those are two of the, you use Z tier a lot. I feel like those are two of the Z tier champions for the respective lanes right now in the competitive meta.
Yeah, this is going to give a lot more of that, I guess, excitement over back to Rookie and Soboro. A lot of people were happy with the way they performed in game number 1. I was happy with the way they performed in game number 1. So this is a game where they have the ability to be on that similar level of performance and really pop off if the moment allows for it. They're going to give Jwei that Wukong, and so far we haven't seen any huge magic damage threats. That's really the thing that tends to counter Wukong, because Stone Skin doesn't give you magic resist, only gives you armor. So if OMG don't get some form of magic damage in this comp, I think that Wukong is going to have a lot of power and durability in these late game fights. So that's why they kind of go back to their guerrilla tactics here. Every time that Starry has locked in Ashe, it has been joined up by a Seraphine. Both Starry and Moham have 4 games on the champions respectively with a similar win rate. Yeah, that being 75%. So these guys love this pairing in order to get priority, but with Xin Zhao and Jarvan both off the board, there aren't a lot of junglers left that can capitalize off of the prio, in my opinion.
Well, at least for Rio, we did see, you know, him get to flex his creative muscles. I very much so enjoyed watching him on the Zac, even if he did get countered by the Trundle early. Had some pretty big late game plays on that champion. Not saying that we'll likely get it in this one. And it doesn't seem like IG are really going to try and pitch his pool much more. They're instead once again making it clear that Haichao is never going to get to reach towards the top of his bag of champions. He's always got to reach further down here. Yone off the board with already taken away picks like Orianna, Galio, and Sylas out as well. Another draft we come to, Quax, where we're thinking, what does Haichao feel comfortable playing again?
Yeah, Haichao going to be obviously against that Rise. I think all of OMG right now are significantly lacking something that can start up a fight. Honestly, if starting up fights isn't their goal here either, because they have Ashe Seraphine and really want to leverage that range, I feel like they're going to need something that can disengage, because Wukong is going to have easy access at the current moment. Syndra is definitely something that comes to mind. I guess you could go for like the Orianna. The Shockwave does provide you a little bit of time, and IG are very short range, so there could be some onus on doing that. But Azir as well, he's high range. The shuffle gives you some disengage to be able to just kind of throw you away, but they're gonna pivot immediately and give Rio the Mundo. So some beefy front line to join up with that Cassante and provide space for the Ashe and the Seraphine.
So holding this pick, by the way, doesn't provide any counter, right? Both Rio and Haichao are going to get counter pick regardless into their matchup. Yeah. So maybe there's a couple picks they're thinking about. They want to see how the rest of IG's draft rounds out before they lock in something here for Haichao. It's really funny. We see the all right, anti-gen agenda. Well, not going to be not going to come through on the draft. Photic will lock in one of the most polarizing AD carries, I would say, in competitive play.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Jhin because I feel like there are
There's
not
a lot of tough matchups.
I mean, it's not only is it a tough matchup, you're going to get outranged, but it's also just the fact that, like, what are you going to do in team fights? Like, you're not going to be able to pierce through these frontliners for a really long time. I think Ezreal is a lot better at doing that once he gets 2 to 3 items than Jhin, who takes a bit longer than even that, and that's already a pretty far or down the line power spike to hit. So my worry is there for Photic's ability to impact the broader scale of this game. But I do think as long as he is able to hold off in the laning phase, that is victory enough because of how oppressive Ashe Seraphine can be in the lane phase. Last pick for Haichao will be that Azir against the Rise. So yeah, OMG with a ton of range and a good amount of disengage with things like the Emperor's Divide and the All Out and just the Cassante combo in general. But IG proved that in game number 1, they were really willing to go for those snap engages, and I think Wei and Jwei did a beautiful job at finding those angles, and they're the 2 champions that will be trying to find those similar angles here in game number 2.
We talked a lot about how OMG's shortcomings, you pointed out in the early phase, was not capitalizing on their map pressure with a mid laner holding a wide ultimate. Galio, it can be a bit tricky with, but Rise, there is no excuse in this early phase. With a Wukong, I want to see Rookie out on the map looking for overloads on the bot and top side to get IG rolling. Because they, once again, do have to be the ones to look for these fights. OMG are going to let IG into their space and see if they can punish them with, like you said, Quax and Ashe Seraphine that has found them success in all but one match so far in Split 1.
And for Rookie on this Rise, it's not only the laning phase and that scaling that I'm looking at, but it's also the usage of the Realm Warps. I think that a lot of the best mid laners in LPL have used that as a tool to not only get themselves to one of the side lanes and get a numbers advantage, look for a pick there, but also maybe transfer their jungler over there as well, get them involved on the play. So let's see how Rookie is able to do that.
IG OMG game 2.
Ooh, a loud one.
Can you guys tell that one of these fan bases is really disappointed that they're in this series and the other one is so over the moon happy that they're in the series?
I have been looking.
It might be one guy, but he's really excited for OMG.
I have been looking at comments of IG's most recent performances. One really stuck out to me. It was the highlight, I believe, video of IG versus NIP. Someone called them the KT of the LPL. I don't know how I feel about that assessment, but I do think that the disappointment factor is the main thing to take away, and I can certainly see that being being something that maybe IG fans can certainly relate to.
Surely we don't have a IG and KT fan a part of LPL English broadcast team. Surely we don't.
Surely we don't. Nope. Absolutely not.
Listen, you know, I guess our friend Alk Battery had to pay for the elation he got for that KT World Finals appearance. So now he's got to watch IG try to stave off a Group Nirvana appearance. We are into the early game officially now, and back to the same jungle conversation here. We had a game 1 with Vi and Xin Zhao Quack, so a lot of skirmish ability early. That does not feel like it is on tap for this game 2.
I don't think we're going to get a ton of fighting in this game. I'm looking at the mid laners and I'm thinking, wow, there's really not going to be a lot of action between these two. Haichao will try and leverage his range advantage, and Rookie will try and use those low CDs to get shove early here, as we can see he is doing. And also, both junglers pathing on opposite sides, so there won't even be a kind of contestment over the Crab Slayer. So seems like we'll have a fairly cordial first few minutes, and I think the big thing to look out for definitely will be Starry and Moham on this bot lane. How much they're able to deny away from Photic in the gold department by using this very punishing 2v2.
Very rough lane for Jwei to play in, for sure, to make things effective. And it does also provide exactly what Rio wants, a very big pushing lane, right? So he's going to get this first bot crab, and Quax, I would expect Rio to do what we've always preached him to do in his short time starting in the LPL, and that's looking for invades likely through this bot side.
not really going to have an angle to do so. Does just drop a ward in that tri-bush. So if Jwei decides off of reset that he would like to look for a gank in bot lane, that should be spotted out. Just trying to cover the bases for his lane because he knows Starry and Moham want to be putting their foot on the gas essentially all laning phase, and they have to be well protected from any monkey funny business coming through by Invictus Gaming.
We'll have to see what Jwei can get done with this Wukong. Even though both junglers are very reliant on getting their ultimates, it's for much different reasons. Still be Jwei favored to have that skirmish early game impact on that level 6. But right now, gonna pay a visit towards this bot side here. Maybe just try and get Photic some comfortability on this wave. He does hold it away from the turret aggro, so does buy himself some time to farm a bit more comfortably. And they'll have Jwei staying in the area, but it is definitely testing Photic on his ability to farm under that turret. And so far, so good. If he catches a big chunk of this wave, he should keep pretty even with Starry.
Whoa. That was an interesting visual there. Haichao just going to shuffle on away from Rookie and get his first reset of the game. It seems like all of OMG trying to get these first back. Starry and Moham stayed around after that wave, and Jwei showing himself on that tri-bush just to shove in that under IG's turret. So, yeah, nothing too crazy happening so far. Rio specifically, I think not only is the Mundo going to be something that can look for aggressive plays off of the priority that he'll get from the bot lane, but generally Rio, we've seen this Mundo do some absolutely illegal things in the jungle, right? We were talking about KT in the grand finals, right? Everyone remembers that performance where he was just walking around, basically ignoring all of T1 and pulling straight up to Guma without a care in the world. That's the thing that a late game Dr. Mundo jungle can do. So I feel like while we talk about the scaling from IG, OMG certainly are not to scoff at for their late game ability as well.
I would agree. I think this game is pretty darn even in that scale factor. And it does seem more and more, as we get more and more into our series, Quax, both these teams are seemingly content with, I don't want to say coin flipping, but kind of stacking all their chips into their team fight ability, which, boy, does that make for must-watch TV.
Also makes just generally for a much slower early game. We're seeing that first dragon claimed by OMG. It will be a mountain, so we talk about the tankiness from Mundo. That will be, you know, pushed a little bit further. He'll be slightly more difficult to kill. That will also allow Hery to take up some of this harass and laning phase a bit better, as Soboro, I think, has definitely been laying the heat, both literally and metaphorically, onto him. So just giving some more durability over to these tanky members, but it also does do a good thing in denying Photic and Jwei from having that extra tankiness, because they are still going to be on the receiving end of a lot of this poke.
And they're doing a really good job holding on to not just, you know, staying even, but finding a slight lead here. Photic should be able to get his CS in a better spot. Is a nice little hawk shot from Starry is going to spot Jwei on this bottom side. Always an underrated part, especially in competitive, of picking on to that Ashe. Is you can find yourselves with a pretty good ability to track the jungler, and that is such an integral part. Is Haichao, all right. Getting a little Shuriman shuffle in there, just throwing Rookie under the turret. That's what we call a mental warfare move from Haichao.
He's bored. It's all right. It happens. But another thing, big advantage for the Ashe, is also that global pressure that you can provide with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and that might come in handy in about a minute here. We've got the Grub spawning in a little less than 60 seconds. You can see that Jwei is pathing toward that top side and now has the Cyclone, so big power spike coming through here from the Wukong when you have access to that ultimate. Starry, though, gonna use that ult.
Go. Yep, the root comes across. Photic has to cleanse as the Encore comes down. He sidesteps out of that one, but right on time for you, Quax. That Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out and forces a reset, at least out of Jwei. So pressure still mounting from the OMG bottom lane, but it's IG that have come out to nearly 1,000 gold lead in our early minutes, and it's Soboro once again finding himself comfortable into Hery, holding on to over half 1,000 of that gold lead.
15 seconds-ish until these grubs spawn. We can see resets coming out from Starry and Moham. I wonder if Moham is going to roam up toward this topside objective. I think that would signal the interest on the rest of OMG as to whether they actually want to contest this objective or not. You can see he's actually, he's not going to the bot lane. So I think OMG are going to cross through this mid lane and maybe try and scuffle with Jwei around this objective. But no, they're staying bot side. Maybe there's Jwei.
It'd be pretty hard to lock down a Rakan. Uses the grand entrance to provide some space, but this is what Mundos want to do. Just walk him down. Luckily, Jwei can jump right over towards Rookie, and spawning out Rio is the real win here for IG, because Wei's like, all right, I am chilling, picking up these 3 grubs. Oh my God, Rio, this is a very, very deep invade. I like the look, Quax, but he does not find what he wanted, which was sweet, sweet camps.
He's not going to be able to get anything, but he is going to deny something from Photic, at least for a little bit. Some of the CS that goes under tower. Starry will also be able to pick up a couple of plates, so some more gold given over to the Ashe. And he can do that because he knows Jwei is on that top side objective, isn't going to be there to bail them out, and just looking for anything aggressively because OMG didn't contest that objective. They want to look for some form of a cross map, but IG, they're going to cross map the cross map. I got your Raptors. So who's the real winner here?
You, because you get to talk about junglers for minutes on minutes. That's what
yeah.
I think is the real winner. Nonetheless, though, it is IG with those grubs. We'll see how much value they'll provide for these side lanes. As here we go, Rookie looking for one more play. He's going to eat an Astro straight to the face, but he'll take that because he gets Starry to flash away from any further engage. Exactly what we want to see out of Rookie's Rise in the early game, though, Quax.
Right, we talked about it in the draft. How well is he going to be able to use this Realm Warp to influence the side lanes? And it doesn't result in a kill, but it does allow for the summoners to be burned off of Starry. No flash for that Ashe. Does limit what OMG's bot lane can actually do as far as pushing up in the lane goes. Because now Jwei is on a reset. He's going to be heading back toward that bot side. He'll be in the area if any strong pushes do come out from Ashe Seraphine. I don't think it's going to collide, given that they're going to be, you know, going back to the lane by the time I think Jwei is on Raptors, but could be an angle of attack here for IG, especially around this dragon spawning in about 15 seconds.
At the rate these early games are going, Quax, we're going to have to... Oh, wow, Soboro. That's a very respectful flash, my friend, as Hery was definitely going to pull him into the all-out, but I guess he'll just lose his flash. We should definitely start tracking now when First Blood comes in our games this series, because I don't remember the game 1 First Blood, but I'm pretty confident it was post 10 minutes. And we are, once again, going to be post 10 minutes when First Blood comes around. Let's see how high the number can go for our two teams, because right now, in the present, Jwei... Okay, I thought he was going to give this dragon. He's going to go for a classic trickster jump in. Yep. Invisible. Can he steal it? Yeah, bat with the staff. Jwei takes away that dragon, and Rio... Oh, poor Rio can do nothing but try and throw cleavers at him. Jwei waiting for the trickster to come back up. Nope, he's going to have to respect flash at least. Felt like that was a given, though. Jwei gets the win to even up our Drake counts.
It is going to limit his ability to look for these flash cyclones, which might help now as Rookie is looking for something crazy.
First divide is going to push Rookie away from Haichao. Again, kind of a nothing burger of Azir ultimates. It's IG, just like game 1, taking the gold lead and maybe try not to look back, just like our first match.
Also equalizing the dragon count, big there for stopping the scaling that OMG are hoping to tilt in their favor, because like we've mentioned so many times, the 5v5s really are going to be the apex of these comps. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see that. I'm excited, you know, in about 8 minutes, but Jwei, at least for the next 4.5 to 4 minutes, won't have that flash. It does limit Wukong's ability to cross that space and look for an engage, as now we are seeing a potential dive. Jwei is wrapped around.
Knock up, deadly flourish, into the charm, into the knock up. Oh, it's just like a beautiful layered CC cake there for First Blood for IG.
Yep, Starry, no flash available, nowhere to go. It's not like Jwei needed to cover that space, because Jwei with the CC had bought him that time to walk up right there and get the First Blood. 12 minutes into the game, by the way, and it will give Jwei his first item, that Trinity Force going to come through, and this is a big spike for the champion. First item, yeah, you owe me a soda. First item, plus level 6. Once he gets that ultimate, I think Jwei can easily look for some kind of a play, and it might happen around this dragon. We're still 3 minutes out, so it's a pretty long ways away, but that flash should be coming up around a similar time.
And to reference back to something we spent so much of the pre-show talking about, if you missed it, which was how do we fix IG, get them back to the winning ways that they did show against some, pretty big competition in Group Ascent, right? This is a team that took series off of some of the best teams that we do have in the LPL. One of the things we talked about was, Jwei and Jwei, that duo that we've yet to name creatively, linking up in the early game. I do feel like that's just one of their biggest power points, if these two can set up a lot of these picks. And while we only have 1 kill, that's exactly what the doctor ordered for IG in this game too.
Yeah, they certainly are not victims of Invisible Gaming, as Haichao has to run away. Barely manages to time the shuffle to escape that rune prison, and now Rio has provided reinforcements. Moham is here as well. It's just going to be battle for this bot side river and controlling that space. But I think now that we have the 2 dragons and the map has changed here for Ocean, it's going to be a lot more difficult to subjugate and completely own that part of the map. Just with the extra length of the brushes, it makes vision that much more difficult to truly fully control. So being able to be first to that river and control the waves in bot and mid is going to be very telling for who should own the space around this Drake. And so far, that is IG. You can see both lanes are pushed, but that doesn't stop OMG from at least walking toward this river. Though Jwei has a very nasty flank angle, and Starry still just now got that flash, actually.
Realm Warp. Oh, Jwei finds Starry. The Rip Prism does lock him up, but the Blast Cone gets him enough space. Forces out the Crystal Arrow. But Rook's trying to chase down the Ghost as the Deadly Flourish comes out. Flash out of Moham. Does cancel it. Rio and company are running down Jwei. He's got to re-engage into Haichao. Great shuffle. Gets Jwei off him. Rookie flashes over. Get the Root Prism. I don't know if he has enough damage, though. It's Soboro's TP in with the Flame Spitter that does finally shut down Haichao. And there's the equalizer down to cut through the maximum dosage onto Rio. It's Soboro again, saving the fight for IG as he's trying to put together a series of his own.
And you can see Jwei laughing in the player cams. They're having a great time. IG win the fight. They get now space of the bot lane river and should be able to set up for the dragon off of these resets. And overall, like you said, great TP from Soboro just to give them that damage advantage. He roasts OMG alive. We're gonna get a replay. Again, great flank from Jwei. Really like the look, and it just separates OMG. They're not able to link up. They're not able to look for 5v5s because they're so split.
Yeah, and I just watched Photic walk in a melee range of Moham because he desperately wanted to crit shot Starry. I wonder if he just takes the crit shot early and tries to reload. It's a different look, but doesn't end up mattering. It's the Soboro double kill, and I know we've had a slow pace to this game, but if you want to talk about people that hit hard on 2 items, are there better champions to start with than a Fed Rumble?
I don't think there are, and it's certainly going to mean Soboro will have a lot of influence in these future fights, so much so that they're not even going to fight around the push he has in bot. Instead, they're going to say, Strong Rumble, I barely know him. We're going to go straight for the Herald instead.
I was more worried for Photic, though. The scariest thing playing into Ashe is the perma-slow. Once she gets their Q up and she can run you down. But hey, IG, this is a very clean early game, once again, cleaner than game 1. And something that we maybe didn't talk about because we've waited for so many reps from this new OMG roster is what do they look like when Rio is forced to play a champion that doesn't really start fights? Well, you get games like this. But one thing that never changes is Jwei in absolute Narnia, looking for flanks here. I mean, he's at least pulled Starry and Moham away from the Herald, but what a journey Jwei is going on his own. They get the Herald, by the way, so IG get it. Does Jwei get out the ultimate hunt down for the IG support? And OMG, I think they're just going to give up on it.
Look at how much space they're giving over. I mean, Haichao's about to get dove. Jwei drops the Herald immediately after taking it.
Cyclone. Haichao's to flash. Emperor's Divide. Jwei off the
what? No,
warp.
what?
Oh, wait, Rookie, why?
Well, I think it crashed.
Oh my god. Wait, how did Moham get that kill? Wait, what? I thought 15...
Where are we? Who are you?
Oh, help. I'm scared and confused. Somebody help.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Holy moly. Everything.
That's an elite reference.
Yeah, everything is going crazy. I mean, I was thinking of another COD reference. You know when you're like going on like one of those stealth missions and you've got like someone in your ear and you get spotted, right, in the stealth mission, and they're like, you've been spotted! And you just have to run, the music starts like blaring, and you're running away from like 50 million enemies. That's what I imagine Jwei was going through mentally, looking for a flank, immediately gets discovered by Moham and just starts booking it to the other side.
How does he not get executed? I felt like he was up there for.
I hope they give us a replay, like God willing.
We'll have to see. I mean, hey, we are 5 kills at 18 minutes, so they should have some time, but our great observer team will have to wait because we have the one thing that has pulled our teams together, which is another neutral objective, that being the third dragon of the game, the first Ocean Drake. And again, a recurring theme here for IG. They are just so much more prepared around these spaces. They're going to clear out all this OMG warding as Rio has to take away camps. The bottom lane has to shove in mid lane, and IG should have a lot more control to take this dragon whenever they want to. And that'll be now.
Just going to immediately start it up. I think one thing that really dissuades OMG from actually fighting is the big power spike for Soboro. I think that one of the biggest advantages for Rumble, especially when he's fed, you go into that Bloodletter's Curse. We talk about how strong Rookie is going to be. He's going to be even stronger with all that Magic Pen coming through onto Hery and Rio. So I think that they just aren't tanky enough to be able to withstand a 2-item Rumble at this point, and a Rise being able to join up with all of that magic damage that he's going to do. They respectfully give that second Drake up, and it's not the end of the world. I think second Drake not the most important thing in the game, but does give IG just that one step closer to Soul Point.
So I want to revisit a combo that Jwei's antics kind of cut us off from Quax, but we have very limited reps from Rio, obviously. All right, hold on. All right. Shooting fish in a barrel, we shooting wide here. All right, yeah, that's all right. We hit one. A good start, Photic. Back to the point. It does seem like OMG cannot reliably pick champions like Mundo for Rio, or they are as slow as a tortoise.
Yeah, Rio has definitely not had the, I want to say the teeth, the viciousness that we've seen from him since he joined OMG, constantly looking for those early plays. He had Prio in bot lane, but he just was never really willing to walk up to Jwei and try and bully him out of some of his camps. I do think he played the macro game fairly well, but now I think that it really is starting to devolve into IG slowly but surely getting the better end of a lot of these cross-map plays and trades in gold, because we're 20 minutes in. It's almost a 6,000 gold lead. A lot of that is being given over to the solo laners that were so integral to the Game 1 win.
Ooh, all right. Starry, good little shot there. He forces Soboro to flash out.
Nah.
Oh, I love this. Can the Jovil strikes come through in time? No, Soboro TP's out and promptly throws a thumbs up to the CC-less Rio Mundo as he goes out.
I thought there was like a fair chance Hery uses that flash to get the third and Tofo strike and cancel the teleport. I think he wasn't in range, and there very well was a chance that it actually ends up shorting and the TP goes through anyway. If that happened, you would have definitely gotten a visceral reaction out of me, personally.
You would have gotten a free post for our socials team.
Yep. Giving us content. Thank you so much, Hery.
All right, well, at some point, OMG, we're in that tough spot with these kind of scale and wait for the team to run at you style comps from OMG. I mean, it's a 6K gold lead, and once we get the items, you're going to see how rough it really is. Mainly looking at how Rookie has his full double scaling items up here. Jwei wants to battle. Soboro's really strong, so... Well, OMG are going to get one of the things they want, and that's IG running into them, but I don't know if they can really survive what is coming.
This is like if IG were a part of a track meet, and you can see they're all at the top, they're doing really well, but then there's just that one teammate that's really slow. He had like a few brownies before the run, so he's like a minute behind even the second to last runner. And that's Jwei. He's last in gold. Bro, it doesn't matter because you're a support, but come on, bro, you gotta keep up.
All right, well, speaking of sprinting and running, we do have that ghost pop for Jwei to slither his way out of an uncomfortable position. Oh, Haichao was looking for Jwei, but the Cyclone knockup comes early enough that Haichao whiffs the Emperor's Divide. Rio eats an equalizer in the face, has to flash over a wall and pop the maximum dosage to heal on up. A lot of not very optimal ults coming out in that little exchange there for OMG.
Yeah, really bad positioning there from Rio as well. Of all of the places to not fight a rumble with ultimate, I think those very narrow corridors on the map is probably the worst because it forces you to flash. Now Rio not going to have that for the future Dragon, and this is something that they might want to contest. I mean, after all, it will be soul point.
Barrier and Mundo. Yep, just flexing.
Guys, block for him, please.
Sorry. Well, Starry's trolling. You just don't have to move, buddy. You've got a Mundo flexing his Giga back at those bullets, so he doesn't really have to move around. But I do want to use that point to highlight that while I think your criticisms of Jin picks is really nice, if we have a slow enough game where you let him just casually get up to those 3 crit items, he is one of the biggest hyper carries in the game, and that's kind of what OMG are allowing for Photic.
Stormrazor
as well as his Baron.
Stormrazor as well makes him really fast when he can get those empowered autos in, so it's very difficult to actually catch out Photic, especially with the especially with the enhanced RFC range. So IG just gonna sneak away the Baron, and this will allow the fast backs. Boom, let's go down toward the bot side, and guys, let's redeploy, get this soul point, and IG are just really bleeding out OMG in this game. 7.5k gold, and this is a game that has barely any kills. The macro has been so good, and this has been something we've wanted to see from this squad since the beginning. Rookie and Jwei leading the charge in the brains department for this team and really giving them a direction, and they are going in the right one for sure.
Jwei is spotted out on the start of his flank, and now he's bringing a friend. TP is coming in here for Soboro. They are setting up the pincer move. It is Hery that's going to push both of them off of the first flank angle as the Dragon does reset. Photic already down about half HP, but he'll play from distance here as he re-engages the Dragon way on top of it as well. But I don't think IG really want to 50-50 this. They feel strong enough to just look for a fight here. Rio's right up with the Dragon. Seems like we're going for 50-50, and Jwei is going to win it this time. Ocean Soul Point and deletion of Rio. The maximum doses. The doses doesn't even come through here. It sends the Rebel run to the back line. Moham gets the flash encore to 2 into the Emperor's Divide. But where's your damage, OMG? All I see is burning health bars thanks to Soboro as Jwei picks up the double, and the IG Masterclass continues.
And now, Slayer, they win the Dragon fight. They get the jungler. They can go for the bear. Oh, wait, they already have it. Baron empowered minions barreling down the mid lane. They can probably just get an inhibitor here and transition that immediately to these side lanes who still have the tier 2 turrets up.
So the more I gather, Invictus Gaming's time in this Knights Road tournament, it feels like NIP succeeded by creating anything but status quo in these games, constant fighting, unleavened chaos. When you let IG just comfortably, settle into that group ascend macro and get a lead without kills, this is what happens.
Yeah, it feels like they're just not being proactive on the map, and I do like to see the attempt, at least, from OMG to fight back. This is a really good encore from Moham, but it's just too little. It's too late. It doesn't matter at this point in the game. IG are too far ahead, and after they win that smite fight, it feels like OMG now, they're on a timer to make things happen because 3.5 minutes from now, if nothing actually transpires that gives OMG a way back into this game, it'll certainly be Soul. And IG might not even need that. Hery is now being aggressed onto, and he's completely isolated.
That's a Black Cleaver on the Wukong, and that is a 3-item crit Jin to find that kill, but Jwei does get picked off in the mid lane. Does look like a piercing arrow. Chantilly's arrow might have found that one. So OMG do get a kill back here. They're looking to try and storm down the mid lane, but that's a nice little realm warp from Rookie to try and cover this wave. Jwei is running up as we get a picture-in-picture replay on the... Oh, okay. You know what?
Soboro also did go down, yeah.
It was Soboro. Yeah, I missed that completely. Another halfway through the map ultimate there from Starry.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to really use these Enchanted Crystal Arrows to that global effect. So Starry's very in trouble.
Encore has to come out. That does force away from Starry, so they won't be able to jump onto him.
Yep. Going to survive for now, but still 11,000 gold lead for IG. That Baron is no longer there, so sieging onto these towers is going to be a bit difficult, especially with the range that Starry and Seraphine.
This is the dumbest death from Jwei ever.
Yeah,
he's trying to take minions as a support. Quax.
Certified invisible gaming moment. He suffered a little bit from it, but I think he will recover. Yep, you just get him to the hospital ward. Maybe give him some ibuprofen and spray him with some Febreze.
Or like IG-profen.
Yeah, oh, yep, you got it.
Had to get that one out here as the inhibitor will fall to Photic. Picks that one up, and the Super Minions will be pouring into the OMG base here. We are approaching 12K gold for IG, and all I want to do is present facts to our viewers at home. That is our job here as casters. IG did overcome a 12K gold deficit against NIP. So
Yes.
does that mean they have to now fall to a 12K gold deficit? That's for you to decide, Quax.
Yeah, that game certainly is not going to be forgotten by me anytime soon, but I think IG fans will definitely not forget this one anytime soon, as this has probably been the most, I hesitate to use the word concise, but certainly the most, I would say, clinical victory, at least series-wise, that we've seen from them so far. Obviously, winning this game, you still only have one more win to go for, and a reverse sweep is possible. It has happened before, but I feel like now they're just looking for the 2-0. Realm Warp in.
Ooh, I think our observers got juked out by that Realm Warp. They thought they were going to go
bit.
towards the top side, but they're actually going after Starry.
Oh.
Some good Seraphine shields, though. Gets the heal. Jwei goes in for the triple
Whoa,
charge.
why
into
is
the
he so
equalizer. Starry will not burn. It's Photic that finally ends up finding that kill somehow, and now Moham is up creek with no paddle. Has to flash behind Rio. Does at least use the top tier 3 turret to force IG off of the rest of that play, but that pick onto Starry does finally mean IG can reset and go after that Baron for the second time this game.
And even the members that they didn't kill, I mean, they also burned the flashes off of Starry and Moham too, right? So it's gonna mean easy pick'ems if Jwei can find an angle, if Soboro can find an equalizer. With that kill onto Starry, I think Baron being up, IG are just looking for any kind of a pick to immediately go toward that objective, but Jwei is on the right.
Okay, not gonna use the trickster to get over the wall. Does want to respect this tanky front line for OMG that has somewhat
Dragon is also up. It's been started here by Rookie. Like, he is just soloing this while IG are corralling them around.
Oh, Hery totally thought they'd be on the Baron over that wall, and he wards, and he's like, why is nobody on IG hitting it? And then the Hawk shot's like, oh, it's because Rookie is 1v1ing the Dragon on the bot side. Arrow's going to go wide. They are chasing Soboro down, has to use the equalizer. Should be dead here. The all-out comes across. Haichao's going to shuffle on in here. Soboro goes down. Wei's going to secure the Ocean Soul, but now OMG have a very unique opportunity to start this Baron, and with how far behind they are, why not?
Yeah, I feel like you have to kind of flip it right now. You're one member up. Sure, it's Ocean Soul for IG, but you just got to go for it. All right, here's the Hail Mary. Nobody's going to take the Realm Warp. Faked out, juked out. All right, who's going to get the Baron? Is it even going to be a 50-50 if IG just engage here?
Curtain calls up for Photic. Jwei needs to find a way into this pit, but he's getting brunted.
Jwei
Jwei gets the double charm on the background. And Rookie deletes Starry. Gets access to Moham as well. The Baron's going to go down, but who cares who secures it? Because it's an IG fight win that just seals the Game 2 fate of OMG. There's the ace through. And Invictus Gaming look to be back to their group ascend ways.
And who cares, right? For that Baron, Rookie now has the actualizer spike. That rise to so much damage. IG closed their jaws around OMG and will take this series 2-0 and take us to series point.
Definitely the most complete game we've seen from IG, not just in the Knights Road tournament, but overall across this entire split one.
Yeah, all of 2026, for sure.
Yep. And it gets them, as you mentioned, to series point. Not a lot of smiles for IG as they come off of the monitors. It just seems like they are locked in knowing that they should not be here and are going to make it OMG's problem.
It's business for them, man. Like, this was an organization that expects results. We were talking about the Gyos at the beginning, and it's very clear that IG have a lot of people that want to see this team succeed, that aren't happy with the current state of this squad. I think that IG in general probably aren't happy with the current predicament that they're in, with one series separating them and Nirvana, but also now one game separating them, one win, I should say, separating them from getting back to Ascend. And for the time being, tempering those angry fans about how this split has been going. Because,
right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Good series so far. One more to close it out. Let's see how they can do. But for OMG, we're going to start hitting that panic button. We said one more win for IG, and maybe you start going for guerrilla tactics. And I'm really interested to actually see what they pull out in Game 3.
And before we get, we really delve into what happens here in this game too, I do want to, put out the clear statement here that, for one, OMG weren't expected to even. A lot of people didn't have OMG winning that LGD series that got them into Knights Road, right? So they're already above that sort of decree, right, Quax? Then they certainly were not favored to beat EDG and even win a series. They do that. So now they're playing with sort of house money, and I would say a lot of these games are kind of going to be learning points for a team that does have a new jungler, right?
Yeah.
So as really dreadful of a game 2 as this was for OMG, I think they have learned something valuable, Quax, and that is, God, can we never let Rio pick a power farmer, because we need him to dictate all of our tempo.
Yeah, I feel like the early games have really been something that we brought up for Rio as a point of both concern and praise, kind of a double-edged sword. When you've got this guy who is just now being dropped into the competitive landscape, you kind of have to play into his strengths, because immediately trying to teach him to, I would say, assimilate to the style, that doesn't really work with a lot of rookies. You want to try and bolster their strengths, and over time, you can overcome their weaknesses and try to mold them a little bit more. OMG don't really have that luxury. They've been playing around Rio, and I think Rio has really not been able to impact the map in the ways that we have been seeing OMG do over the course of their last few series.
We're already into the highlights. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fighting in this game, but the one big fight that kind of swayed things was that Soboro TP that made the difference. I do feel like in a game as kind of slow and tame as this one was, Quax, you can use the excuse of saying maybe the whole team of IG deserves kind of player of the game. But if I had to pick someone to give the award to, I do think Soboro made the difference when the game felt close.
Yeah, I think that Soboro, we talked a little bit about it like during the game, but I think this is a player who a lot of people were very curious as to what he was going to bring to the table going into 2026. And, whenever you have an LCKCL top laner and one that finished pretty nicely, finished their 2025 pretty nicely in that tournament, I believe, being on BNK Fear Youth, I think they got 4th or something, like 3rd or 4th, which is pretty high up there. People are kind of looking at this person, especially as the successor to the Shy, like, can we see lane dominance? Can we see them really hit the ground running in these first 14 minutes and Snowball be an extra threat along with the rest of the team? And he's really just kind of been the tank guy. We've seen him on Sion, we've seen him on Cassante. He does have games on Rumble, but they haven't been very successful. A 20% win rate before this game, and I do think that this was one of his better games, certainly, of the year, as rookie back-to-back game MVPs. And I do want to say that while his impact in the lane itself wasn't very high, he did use those realm warps how we expected them to be used, and he went to sides and he tried to do more than just 1v1 Haichao.
And if we're gonna use recency bias in the phrase of a game, that realm warp and deletion of both Starry and Moham on the back end of that Baron fight was the real significant moment for me. So give it over to Rookie for a pretty clean Rise game. I know there's a lot of IG fans that are happy to see him grab those back-to-back MVPs as he looks to try and set himself on a way for a Player of the Series award, and will get it in expedited fashion if IG can find themselves